When outsiders attacked India and said their religion was the only true one, many Hindus became defensive in ways they hadn't been before. A Hindu doesn't see people of other religions as others who are wrong or lost. They see them as fellow travelers on different paths up the same mountain. Walk into a modern Hindu temple during festival season, and you'll still see that ancient pluralism alive. Hinduism or Sanatana Dharma is not about believing, it's about seeking, and that changes everything. But here's something even more amazing. This way of seeking isn't just for Hindus. Anyone can learn from it. This way of finding truth comes from the land of India. And it's like a river that everyone can drink from. You don't need to be a born Hindu to ask questions. You don't need to strictly pray to Hindu gods to explore different paths. This is the culture of the land. A place built on the simple idea that truth is big enough for every person who really wants to find it, no matter where they come from or what they believe right now. Most religions in the world tell you, believe first. Hinduism does the opposite. It says ask questions first. Keep searching and let what your experience show you the truth. This isn't just a small difference. It's a totally different way of thinking about life, God, and what everything means. Imagine walking into a Hindu household in India. In the morning, you might see the grandmother lighting agarbatti before a statue of Ganesha, the elephant-headed remover of obstacles. By afternoon, her son might be in deep meditation, focusing on a formless consciousness without any deity at all. In the evening, her daughter-in-law might be reading the Bhagavad Gita, contemplating Krishna's teachings about duty and devotion. And her teenage grandson, he might be questioning the very existence of God, while still participating in family prayers out of respect. Here's the remarkable part. All of them are considered equally Hindu. No one is more right or wrong. No one faces a council of elders demanding they choose the correct path. This is because Hinduism doesn't operate on the principle of one truth, one way. Instead, it embraces what seems impossible to most religious minds: multiple truths coexisting peacefully. Walk through any Indian village and you'll see this in action. One temple dedicated to Vishnu, another to Shiva, a third to the Divine Mother in her fierce form as Durga. Some homes have elaborate shrines, others have simple pictures, and still others have nothing religious visible at all. Yet when the festival time comes, the entire community celebrates together. The Vishnu devotee doesn't force the Shiva worshipper to worship Shiva. The atheist doesn't mock the believer. And he is also called a Hindu because he has his own understanding of life and God, and also can seek further if he wants to or feels to. All of them understand something profound. There are many rivers, but they all flow toward the same ocean. This is different from the Abrahamic approach to religion. Christianity, Islam, and Judaism are built on a foundational principle. There is one God, one truth, one correct way to worship, and one book that contains the ultimate answers. This creates clarity, structure, and unity within each tradition. It also creates boundaries. You either are a Christian or you're not. You either accept Allah as the only God or you don't. You either follow Torah or you follow something else. Hinduism refuses this thinking. It says maybe God has no form. Maybe God has 1,000 forms. Maybe there are many gods. Maybe God is everything. Maybe God is nothing. Maybe you'll find truth through devotion. Maybe through knowledge. Maybe through action. Maybe through meditation. Maybe through doubt itself. This helps you seek the truth rather than just believing something. Because when you just believe, you don't know whether it's the truth or not. You're meant to spend your entire life exploring these possibilities, and you seek with your own experience to know whether it's the truth or not, rather than settling on one answer that you just believe. This isn't confusion, it's sophisticated spiritual psychology. The Hindu mind understands that human beings are different. We have different temperaments, different life experiences, different ways of processing the same world. Some people are naturally devotional. They find God in love, surrender, and worship. Others are intellectual. They find truth through philosophy, debate, and analysis. Still others are action-oriented. They discover meaning through service, work, and social engagement. And some are mystical. They seek direct experience of the divine through meditation and inner exploration. But here's the deepest truth Hinduism teaches. All this seeking is ultimately internal. It's not about finding God somewhere out there in the sky or in a book. It's about realizing that you are already a part of God, that the divine consciousness that runs the universe is the same consciousness that's watching this video right now. This isn't arrogance, it's the most humble realization possible. When you understand that your deepest self is connected to everything else, how can you hate anyone? How can you think your way is the only way when you see the same divine spark in every person you meet? This creates a profound psychological shift. A Hindu doesn't see people of other religions as others who are wrong or lost. They see them as fellow travelers on different paths up the same mountain. The Christian finding peace in Jesus, the Muslim surrendering to Allah, the Buddhist seeking enlightenment, the atheist pursuing truth through reason, they're all expressions of the same divine consciousness exploring itself through different experiences. This isn't just tolerance, it's recognition. We don't tolerate other paths because we have to. We celebrate them because we see ourselves in them. Rather than forcing everyone into the same mold, Hinduism created multiple paths. Bhakti Yoga for the devotional heart, Jnana Yoga for the analytical mind, Karma Yoga for the active spirit, and Raja Yoga for the meditative soul. It's like having a cosmic cafeteria instead of a single set menu. You take what nourishes you and leave what doesn't resonate. This approach stems from a concept called Sanatana Dharma, the eternal way of truth. Notice it doesn't say the eternal truth, but the eternal way of truth. It's about the journey, not the destination. It's about the seeking, not just the finding. It's about the questions that keep you awake at night, not the answers that put you to sleep during the day. This flexibility explains something remarkable about Hindu civilization. For over 5,000 years, it has absorbed countless invasions, interactions, and influences without losing its essential character. Greeks came and their philosophical ideas got woven into Hindu thought. Muslims arrived and Sufi mysticism found common ground with Hindu devotion. Christians appeared and their emphasis on service merged with Hindu concepts of selfless action. Portuguese, Dutch, French, and British colonizers tried to impose their ways, and Hinduism bent but never broke. Why? Because it never claimed to be the only way. It never said other approaches were invalid. It simply said, here's another path to explore. You don't have to abandon your journey to join ours. This psychological approach created a civilization where debate was valued over dogma. Ancient Indian universities like Nalanda and Takshashila were not places where one doctrine was taught, but where multiple schools of thought engaged in rigorous intellectual combat. Buddhist philosophy, Jain ethics, Hindu metaphysics, and materialist Charvaka thinking all coexisted and challenged each other. The goal was not to win arguments, but to refine understanding. Students would spend years learning one system thoroughly, then switch to its opposite to gain a fuller perspective. Imagine if every university today operated this way, encouraging students to deeply study both theism and atheism, capitalism and socialism, scientific materialism and spiritual mysticism, not to become confused, but to become wise. But here's something important to understand. This doesn't mean all Hindus have always been perfectly tolerant and open-minded. People are people. When they feel scared, they get defensive. When they are fighting for land or power, they form tight groups. When politics gets involved, they create us versus them thinking. When outsiders attacked India and said their religion was the only true one, many Hindus became defensive in ways they hadn't been before. Some became as rigid as their attackers. Some started their own us versus them thinking. This is the sad part about outside pressure. It can make you become the very thing you once stood against. But if you have no option left, people probably change. But the basic foundation of Hindu thinking is about accepting different paths. The old holy books still celebrate many ways to truth. The main philosophy still honors different approaches. The deep understanding that different people need different spiritual medicines still lives in Hindu culture today. Walk into a modern Hindu temple during festival season and you'll still see that ancient pluralism alive. The businessman praying for success stands next to the student seeking wisdom, who stands next to the grieving widow finding comfort, who stands next to the young mother asking for her child's health, who stands next to the old man contemplating mortality. Same space, same rituals, completely different needs, utterly different understandings of what's happening. And it works. Nobody needs to check anyone else's theological credentials. The temple holds them all because Hinduism understands something profound about human psychology. We are united not by having identical beliefs, but by sharing the same fundamental questions. What is the meaning of life? How should we treat each other? What happens when we die? How do we find peace in suffering? How do we discover joy in the ordinary moments? These questions don't have single answers, but they create a shared human experience that transcends doctrinal differences. This idea is very important for today's world. We live in a time where people are more divided than ever, unable to live peacefully with those who think differently. Social media often traps us in echo chambers, showing us only the ideas we already agree with. Even universities sometimes value sticking to one ideology more than encouraging open discussion. But the Hindu way of thinking gives us a different path. What if having many viewpoints isn't a problem, but actually a strength? What if the goal isn't to make everyone agree with us, but to learn from the way others see the world? What if truth is so big and complex that it actually takes many perspectives to even begin to understand it? This doesn't mean every perspective is automatically correct. That would be lazy thinking. It means we should meet different viewpoints with curiosity instead of judgment. We should ask, what is this person seeing that I might not? What in their life made them think this way? And what part of truth does their perspective show that mine might be missing? When we see it this way, disagreement isn't something dangerous. It's a chance to grow. It's not about proving who's right or wrong, but about widening how we see the world. Think of truth like a huge mountain. No one person can see all of it. One person might see the snowy top, another might see the forest on the side. Someone else might notice the rivers below. Each person is right in their own way, but only together do we get a clearer picture of the whole. In the Hindu tradition, many schools of thought existed side by side. They often argued with each other, but they still lived together and learned from those arguments. This shows us that debates don't always have to lead to fights or rejection. They can help us reach deeper understanding. In the end, Hinduism is not about telling you what to believe. It's about giving you the courage to ask, what is the truth? It gives you the freedom to spend your entire lifetime seeking that answer, knowing that seeking itself might be more valuable than any final conclusion you reach. Hinduism's strength isn't in one fixed answer, but in welcoming endless questions. It's not about birth, blood, or identity. It's about well-being for all. Anyone can learn from this spirit of seeking. It doesn't ask you to change who you are, only to expand how much truth you can hold.